The STEM Society.
Welcome back to the STEM Society. My name is Cole Jackson. This is episode 110. We are live. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode. This week, I wanted to dive into this viral clip that went around about T-Pain and Drake actually responding back. This nigga's wildin'. Cardi B just announced her newest album was about to drop, and I wanted to dig into the rollout just a little bit. It really feels weird, and it feels like this is rushed. I'll get into that later on, and then I wanted to get into the Diddy trial. Closing arguments was this past week, and we're most definitely getting a verdict probably next week, and I wanted to dive into what could happen. So I'm gonna cover all of those things this episode. Let's go right into this Drake thing. So this past week, T-Pain, of course, was on some kind of podcast talking shit, and he made a statement about Drake gracefully bowing out. Let me play this clip for you.
Said, I want to be one of them people that gracefully bow out and not get kicked out.
Yeah.
I have ever since said,
Yeah.
you really thank y'all. Yeah. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all when I drop. Don't worry about it. I'll just drop something. Yeah. Let me know if you heard it. Yeah. Drake is like, no, listen. Okay, I got another one. Oh, check this out. Check this out. Y'all didn't like that one? Okay, real quick. Just one more. Let me try one more. And then he's the person that he said, you know, he didn't want to be. Mm-hmm. And I learned that from him. Like when he said that, I want to gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I was like, you know what? I'm out this bitch.
This is live shows now.
I'm out this motherfucker. I'm not trying to impress y'all niggas. Y'all niggas don't give a fuck about live or die. Yeah. Why the fuck would I keep trying to impress y'all niggas? I'm out. I'm done. I did everything that I was trying to do. I changed the game. I made a sound. What else?
So after I watched that clip, I started to think to myself, did we start looking at Drake as somebody who don't know how to make hits anymore? Are we looking at Drake a certain type of way because of what happened with Kendrick Lamar? The conversation for me is, one, T-Pain is T-Pain, and I'll never take that away from him. I think T-Pain is one of those artists that changed the sound of hip-hop. He actually put his own spin on things, and he got crucified for it. A lot of people crucified him for the auto-tunes. We had a whole burial for death of auto-tunes because of T-Pain, but he did create a sound, and he did create a notch in hip-hop. But Drake is Drake. I think a lot of these people are starting to forget who Drake is. Now, I am not going to glaze this man not one bit, but I understand that Drake is Drake. The battle that happened last year, people are looking at him in a different type of a light. The champ got his face cut. That's what happened. It happens sometimes. There are times when the champ goes up against somebody who you never really expected to beat him, and he gets beat. Plain and simple. Drake has been on top for so long, and for somebody like T-Pain to say something like that really makes me feel like y'all are really losing the respect that this man has earned for the past 10 plus years in the game. Drake is not chasing hits. Well, he used to didn't chase hits. Let me put it to you that way, like that. There are some things that he's dropped here recently that sounds like he's trying to catch one. But it's also a situation to say that if he doesn't stay relevant, or if he doesn't stay up on top of everything, then what happens to hip hop, or what happens to music, or what happens to his representation of hip hop? A lot of people hate to claim that Drake is the new representation of what hip hop is now, but you can't deny the sales. You can't deny the wins that he's had as far as Grammys. You can't deny that the man has really been on top for so long that you can't say he's not that guy anymore. Did he take a hit going up against Kendrick? Yes. But that nigga can still make a hit, and he can still put out an album that's going to blow people's mind away. Y'all are getting real comfortable disrespecting this guy. Again, I like Drake. I'm not a super Drake stan. I'm not academic or anything like that, but I understand music, and I understand that Drake is one of those people who have held the crown for so long. Love him or hate him, he's going to sell out concerts. He's going to most definitely sell albums. He's most definitely going to be a person that you're going to ask for when it comes to a feature. So this whole disrespect thing that people are going, this disrespectful route that people are going for is a little crazy to me. Like, y'all are really getting out of hand. And I'm not saying that T-Pain didn't carve in his place in hip hop history. I love T-Pain too. Without him, we wouldn't have a lot of this sound. He created his own sound. Drake, for all intents and purposes, took his sound and used it for his advantage. But that's what Drake does. But at the end of the day, this talking greasy about this dude, now, I'm not gonna lie, the newer stuff that Drake has put out, I haven't been a fan of. It hasn't really hit me like the older Drake stuff. But he's still fucking Drake. And I think when he drops this newest album, people are going to be eating their words because he's going to actually come out with something that's going to be a chart-topping, critical release when that album comes out. I hope he don't name it Iceman because that's a horrible name. But we've gone through the history of him having horrible names. But we are really starting to get way too comfortable disrespecting this man's credits. We've disrespected this man's sales. We've disrespected this man's place in hip hop. It's just getting a little too much out of hand, bruh. And it's wow. But let me go on the other side of that. Drake decided to respond to what T-Pain said. And once I seen that, it kind of pissed me off. This is what Drake said. This guy has always had resentment for me. You can hear it every time he speaks on my name. Anybody who's watched this show before knows how I feel about top tier artists getting in the comments and answering and doing shit like this. It's beneath you to do that. If you're on a fucking pedestal, which Drake is on a pedestal, don't get in the comments and say stupid shit like that, bruh. Get out of your feelings for a second. Don't do that. You look thirsty. You already look thirsty with some of the stuff that you've dropped already. And I love Drake. I'm going to preface that every time. I love Drake. I'm a Drake fan. Stop getting in the comments and answering these people, bruh. Everybody, here's something that nobody's going to say to you that I'm going to say to you. Everybody that's not on your team hates you. It's the truth. If they're not on your team, Drake, they're going to hate you. If they're not a fan of yours, they're going to hate you. Want to know why? Because it's popular and it's cool and it gets people viral. It's like it's Jim Jones all over again. Speaking somebody's name gets them viral. So you know what? They're going to say something about Drake, why he didn't do this, why he didn't do that. People are going to always have something to say. I personally feel like you should put the social media down and focus more on your music and this lawsuit. We keep forgetting that this lawsuit is still pending right now with UMG. You got to get out of your feelings, bro. Stop getting in the comments and answering dumb shit. Because that whole situation with T-Pain is stupid. This whole thing going viral is stupid. But it was a slow news week. It was slow. What can I say? And anything Drake related is always going to go viral no matter what. I think we're at a point now where you should be in album mode because I want to hear your return album. I think a lot of us do. Like the first 6 months of the year has been very boring when it comes to music. We've had some albums here and there that's dropped. We've had some moments and some songs here and there that's dropped. But nothing makes a year better than having a Drake album. We're about to head into July. I'm waiting for a lot of anticipated albums to drop for the second half of the year. But I would most definitely like to see a Drake album on that slate. And I'm not talking about Sexy Songs for You. That's an R&B album. I don't want to hear that bullshit. Sorry. But I do want to hear what Drake has to say post-battle. I do want to hear what Drake is going to come with, what kind of sound, what kind of vibes, like where is he going to come from with this new album? And instead of you answering people in the comments, bro, let it go. Sometimes you got to be a better mind. You got to be a better person than that. And just say, don't worry, T-Pain. It's okay. You were somebody. And now it's all about me. I want Drake to be more mindful of what he does from here on out. And I know that's like asking the sky not to be blue, but be a lot more mindful of like what you're doing, bro. Focus on the album. Focus on the album. Focus on what really matters, the music. Focus on getting your bag from UMG. You still got that lawsuit out there. Focus on those things, man. Don't be focusing on T-Pain. That's just crazy. What do you guys think? Do you think Drake should gracefully bow out? Do you think Drake should be in the comments answering a clip about T-Pain? It's a conversation to be had, and it's in the comments. For everybody on the other side of this camera, let me ask you a question. When Cardi B announced her newest album, Am I the Drama, how did y'all feel about that? Take some time to really search your feelings like the Jedis do. Did you get excited when you heard about this album? Or did you feel kind of strange, like it was weird, like something was off? Fans have been waiting on this. People have been waiting and waiting and waiting. Now, she was feeding the streets with a lot of her singles here recently. Throughout those 7 years, we got music, singles here and there. We got a lot of filler between time. She dropped her newest single, Outside, which a lot of people don't feel like that's the official single for the album. I'm one of those people. There's no way Cardi drops a song without visuals. That was the first thing that made me feel like this is weird. We also get this announcement that WAP from 2020 and Up from 2021 are also going to be on that album. And the internet felt the whole way about it. I actually felt the way about it because I wanted completely all new music from Cardi on this album. We've heard WAP, we've heard Up. They were huge hits. They sold plenty of units. They got everything. She got squeezed every drop of juice out of both of those songs. And why should we hear those? Like, why should that be on the album? Well, Cardi defended herself in this clip.
My hit records need a home. Sometimes people go to Invasion of Privacy to look for WAP and look for Up. And my fans been telling me, hey, please put WAP and Up on the album. And I'm going to do this for my fans. My fans deserve for me to listen to them. I didn't listen to them when I didn't submit it WAP because I was listening to the haters. I was thinking like, imagine if I win WAP and people are going to drag me and stuff like that. This time, fuck it. It's our turn. It's Barty Gang's turn. Whatever the fuck they mad about, tell them to go cry about it. Wah. Go fucking cry about it. I love my fans. I love Barty Gang. And whatever the fuck they want, they fucking get. Well, not everything, because y'all be asking for some shit. That be like, what the fuck? But, yeah. Love you guys so much. And if I don't care, you shouldn't either. Usually I will give a fuck and fuck them. Let them cry. Let them eat cake.
As a fan, I would be happy. You right, Cardi. Fuck all the haters, man. Put them 2 songs out there. Give them a home. But if you type in Cardi B's name on streaming platforms, you can pretty much scroll to that song and find it. It's not very hard to find. And I'll tell you why it's not hard to find those 2 songs. WAP has gone 8 times platinum. 8 times in the US. Sold over 22 million units globally. Up 12 million units and charted worldwide. I don't think that 2 songs that sold that great need a home. You've squeezed enough juice out of both of those songs to be okay with that. Now, I personally think that this is a label move. See, the rumor running over the internet is Atlantic doesn't like the album. A lot of people feel like it's a lot of dated music on there. There's nothing really up to date. There's nothing that sounds like the current sound from the female side of hip hop right now. I don't know how true this is. This is all allegedly. So just take what I say with a grain of salt. But this feels more like a label move to help move the album to where it needs to be. Now, according to some sources, the album has already hit 1.3 million in pre-orders. I don't know if the 2 things add up. I don't know if that's because these 2 songs are going to be on there and those sales are already counting towards the sales of the full album. I don't know if that's just the anticipation side of things, but it really feels more like a label move than a Cardi move. It's been an industry practice for a little while now to recycle old hits and help boost the numbers on the sales of your album. And a lot of times the artist doesn't necessarily have say-so in all of that. Now, I don't think Cardi wants to even drop this album right now. I think it's a place where she was trying to continue to take her time, make this album into what it needs to be. And I think Atlantic was like, no, we're not doing that. It's time to move It's time to put this album out. It's time for you to get off of this not putting out this sophomore album. It all has the signs of being a forced release. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying that this is what's happening. So don't go out and spouting that Cole Jackson said that the label's forcing her. I'm just going off of context clues and the things that are happening with the drop of this album. And I feel like this is a forced release. The date doesn't even make sense. September, Cardi B is one of the biggest artists in hip hop, and she's dropping in September. That don't even sound right. That sounds, she should be having a album drop in the summertime. She is one of the biggest artists. Or she should be dropping something in the fourth quarter when people have enough money to be able to buy these albums. That's what a lot of the major artists do. That's a little known secret, or maybe most of you guys already knew that. But most artists drop in the fourth quarter, which is October, November, December, because that's when people are spending the most. That's when people are always trying to buy all these things, and a new album from one of your favorite artists will always be something that's on your list of Christmas gifts. I'm going to give you a very unpopular opinion, and who knows where this might go, but it's just how I think. After all of that I just explained, I feel like this album's not going to be good. It feels like they're really trying hard to push this album and go ahead and sell it before it actually comes out. Now, that's not all on Cardi. A lot of it has to do with Atlantic and its restructuring. Let me give you a quick recap. Some things that people may not be talking about on the timeline. Back in September of 2024, Warner Music, who is the parent company to Atlantic, completely restructured the label. They laid off over 150 people on staff. That was A&Rs, those were people in marketing, that was a lot of artist support. When labels do a major restructure, artists lose leverage. Right now, the CEO of that company is Elliot Grange. Now, I don't have to tell you the type of power that Elliot Grange has. You can go ahead and look that up on the internet for yourself. But Atlantic has completely restructured themselves, and they're taking a different approach when it comes to putting music out or how artists are going to be maintained. It's all over the music business news sites. If you go read it, you can see for yourself that they're taking a different angle. And I think that's going to have a lot to do with if this Cardi B album is going to be good or not. And again, I'm not taking away from Cardi's skill. I think she can most definitely rap. She has proven herself time and time again. It really feels strange that two old songs are going on this album to help push this album. Now, either she turned in some stuff that just didn't sound good, or they really want to hurry up and get this so they can get a return on their investment. Who knows? And that might not be how the game works. I think this album is going to be a bad album. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think the single Outside is decent, but it's not up to par with what Cardi usually puts out. And her not dropping visuals with that single tells me a lot. I look at this whole situation as somebody who finally got forced to put out an album that they really didn't feel like putting out again this year, and they wanted to wait a little bit longer. And that's just opinion. That's not fact. That's just me going off of what I see on social media or how this whole rollout feels very strange or odd. But when I think about all of this, it really comes down to three different things. The passion that Cardi lost for music, the restructuring of Atlantic and how that could affect this album, or the fact that maybe the fans possibly have moved on from what we like as far as like Cardi B's music. There's a whole lot more options that's out there than it was when Cardi first dropped. And it's easy for people to say, this is all right, but it ain't that, or it ain't this, or it ain't that. And, I think if that happens, like, how does Cardi react to that? Which I personally feel like music is not really her first choice anymore. She's more of a brand person than she is a rapper. We keep calling her a rapper, and she does put out music, but I feel like this is secondary to everything else. And that's okay. That's okay. But living that truth also, living the fact that you're no longer a person who really enjoys rapping. You enjoy the brand deals, making money outside of music, and just live that life now. I think this is more pressure than it is passion at this point. I think the label has gotten to the point where it's just like, you got to put something out because the new restructured Atlantic is not going to let you coast no more. We're not letting you get away with this. We want a return on investment. We want to be able to make money off of you. I could be wrong. This is a podcast / YouTube show. I'm wrong all the time. But tell me what you think. Are you anticipating Cardi's new album? Do you think the label is completely messing this whole rollout up? Do you think that Cardi still has passion for music anymore? There's a conversation to be had, and it's in the comments. Let me know down below. If you've made it this far into the show, one, thank you. I know I can rant and rave and be a little annoying sometimes, but I also understand that you're actually watching this. So if you've made it to this part, this is where I ask you guys to subscribe to my channel. Help me grow this channel into something way bigger than what it is. I would appreciate it if you like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and it helps me to rant more about hip-hop news and give you more reviews and tell you different things about different lists. It really helps when you guys support the channel and make it bigger than what it is. I'm trying to be up there with some of the top podcasters, especially when it comes to music content, so you guys can actually get honest hip-hop commentary from people who ain't gonna bullshit you. That will be me. So if you like a different point of view about hip-hop news or album reviews or so on and so forth, subscribe to the channel and like, share, do all of the things. Let's get back to the show. I don't think it's too far-fetched for me to say that Diddy's probably going to get a light slap on the wrist. The trial is done. They have finally done closing arguments, and I'm seriously looking at Diddy probably getting a few years, nothing more, nothing less. Let me tell you why. First of all, Diddy decided not to take the stand, and his defense didn't call any witnesses. That right there is very telling when you think about what the hell was going on. This man is supposed to be fighting for his life to stay out of prison for life, and they didn't do anything, which tells me the defense is smart enough to know that the prosecution didn't prove their case about racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution. It feels like they did more of a smear campaign than anything else. They tried to paint this man as somebody as a horrible person, which he is. A lot of the stuff that came out during this trial lets us know that he's a piece of shit. He is not the guy that you thought he was. I understand that the prosecution used that to their advantage, but the defense made sure that they told them at every single time of the case, we know he's a piece of shit. We know this, but that's not what he's on trial for. He's not on trial for being a bad guy. He's on trial for racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution. And you guys have pulled out all the stops to just show that none of that has been happening. Let's talk about the Cassie part of things. She had horrible things happen to her, and I feel for that woman because I don't know if I could endure the things that she went through. But they also made it seem like she was accomplishing a lot of the things that went down. The leaked audio of that phone call was not a good look. That was not a good look. When you hear that, it really sounds like she was more of a companion, or more as somebody who was a ride or die than somebody who was fearing for their life. I think that a lot of her testimony being so early hurt this case, but I understand that she was pregnant and she couldn't be there long. So I get it. But man, when all of these things leaked, the phone call, the male prostitutes who testified and was talking about how she was setting a lot of these things up, just didn't help in the prosecution's favor to put this man away. It did paint him as somebody who's a sex fiend and an abuser, but it really didn't paint him as a trafficker. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, should this man go to jail for being a horrible person, or should he go to jail for being what he's been charged with? That's the problem. If it's very confusing or the lines are blurred for me as a person on the outside looking in, how does the jury feel about this? And they even tried to simplify the paper that they have to look at when they're coming to their verdict, which is telling as well. When you have to simplify things for somebody in a jury to figure out, that usually means that the prosecution didn't do their job. And it really does lean towards the defense knowing what they were doing. One of the major points that came out as well, which adds on to the Cassie stuff. The defense said in their closing arguments, Cassie got paid $20 million from Diddy and $10 million from the hotel. She got paid. She said that those claims were financially motivated. When you when you hear it a certain way, when you think about the testimony, when you hear the phone calls, it really does feel like she kind of framed this dude for the money. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying the defense did their job to poke a hole in what the prosecution was saying, and they made it look like, yo, she made away. She made out like a bandit through this whole thing, and she's been satisfied with the money side of things. She's gotten what she wanted. Why should Diddy go to prison for life if she's gotten her side of things? If she's gotten the money that she was looking for, why should we put him in jail? It was all consensual until the money ran out, right? That's a hell of a thing to put out there. Another point that they made in the closing argument, Capricorn Clark, she wasn't held against her will. The defense said, yo, she went home and came back to work every day. That does not sound like somebody who's been kidnapped. On top of the male prostitutes. A lot of the male prostitutes were saying that Diddy didn't even call him up every time. Other people from his camp did. Other people were setting up these freak-offs when he wasn't even there sometimes. I didn't want to go on too long for this, so let me just get to the bottom line. I think Diddy only gets 10 years. And I think he only gets 10 years because the prosecution really didn't prove their case. They didn't really prove the racketeering side of things, the sex trafficking thing, or the prostitution thing. It really does feel like they painted him as a very horrible person, and they feel like he should get time for being a abuser. And I'm pretty sure the jury is going to put 10 years on his chest because of the abuse thing and the way that they painted him. But if they would have came with a stronger case and more things to prove what he was being charged with, I really do feel like he could have got life. But the prosecution just really didn't do as good of a job as I think they could have done. And I don't think they had enough there. Even though his houses got raided or the baby oil and all this other stuff, the defense was able to counter with a whole lot of other things, just saying he's a wild playboy millionaire that just lives a wild lifestyle. This stuff that you're trying to say, it ain't happening. So we should get the verdict as of next week. I'm really anxious to see what happens, but I personally predict that he'll get 10 years maximum. That's it. Like, he ain't gonna get nothing more than that. They're not gonna be able to pin anything else on him for real. And I think he get that 10 years for just being an asshole and a piece of shit. What do you think? Do you think Diddy gets more than 10 years? Do you feel like the prosecution actually proved their case? Or is this something that just went on for way too long and it just wasted a lot of our time? Tell me in the comments. That's all I got for you guys this week. Thank you for joining me for Sunday's episode. I'll be back on Wednesday to let you guys know about the most anticipated albums coming for the second half of 2025. So you don't want to miss that episode. I'm going to deep dive into some things that you may or may not know it was coming out. But other than that, I love you guys. Thank you for your support, and I will catch you guys next episode. Peace out.
Thank you for joining the STEM Society.